Welcome to Array.Ink. I'm Ray.
And I'm Arrow. Today we're starting a beginner's guide series on Splatoon 2. It's the kind of guide we sort of wish we had when we were beginners.
But this episode won't get right into the guide. Instead, we thought we'd bring you an episode 0, which covers, should you get Splatoon 2 or not?
What is Splatoon 2? Splatoon 2 is a sequel to Splatoon 1, a third-person shooter game where instead of shooting bullets or other lethal projectiles, you shoot ink. In addition, you're not just a person, you're a part squid, part kid creature that can switch between both forms. You can also be part octopus, but we'll come back to that later.
Splatoon is one of Nintendo's newest series, since the first game came out in 2015 on the unfortunate flop of the Wii U. However, since Splat 2 came out on the Switch, it's become more accessible and appealing to fans. Both Arrow and I have only played Splatoon 2, so we can't make a proper game comparison. But we can say that if you've tried and enjoyed Splat 1, then Splat 2 would be a worthy investment.
And even if you haven't tried Splat 1, like the both of us, we'd encourage you to consider Splatoon 2, if it's only just watching this video. When playing, you have a few options to choose from. You can choose from the variety of player versus player modes, which is the main feature of the game. But if you feel like teaming up with people against a computer, there's a co-op mode, where only AI-driven salmon are your opponents. And then of course, there's a single-player mode, which you don't need the internet for, but we don't really think that this game is worth getting just for the single-player story.
In all of the PvP modes, you can choose to play with a bunch of random people or with friends. The competitive modes especially allow for you to play in pairs, in quads, or completely by yourself in a room of 7 other randos. Games range from 3 to 5 minutes long depending on what mode you're in, and there's a variety of maps which rotate on an online-based schedule every 2 hours. You can also play in private battles with friends, where you can choose the map, the competitive mode, and even the ink colors. Private battles expand from 8 to 10 people per room at the maximum, allowing 2 slots for spectators.
If you're not feeling confident in your abilities, or just want some time and space to practice, there's also a training room. Here, you can practice with a variety of different weapons such as the sniper, one of the harder weapons in the game to master, or try out different kits of weapons, as each has their own sub-weapon and special weapon. You can also test out your gear here, as in-game you are able to buy in-game clothing with your in-game money. The clothing, or gear, comes with special abilities and ability slots that you'll be able to fill out, and you can test the effectiveness of some of these abilities, clothing, or a full outfit themselves in this training room.
We touched on everything briefly, but if you are interested in more detailed guides on things like competitive modes, weapons, or gears and abilities, we'll have a video for each of these things, both for current and aspiring beginner players. We don't want to bore you with the technicalities, but we do want you to know there's a lot more to this shooter game than shooting people, or rather, splatting people, as it's called. We're both pretty casual players, which is why we like this game so much. While it can get intense, we both have lives we can live comfortably outside of this game. That, among other reasons, is why Splatoon 2 is right for us. So here are some reasons why Splatoon 2 might also be right for you.
You like low-commitment games, or you don't have hours a day to dedicate to gaming.
You like games that aren't super serious but are still competitive.
You want to find a gaming community that isn't constantly toxic, since Splat 2's is better than others. Just remember that no fanbase is perfect.
You want to find a gaming community with a significant LGBT fanbase.
You want a game with lots of options for different multiplayer modes.
You like games where you can dress up characters or collect things.
But Splatoon 2 might not be for you if
you want a game that is constantly being updated the way Fortnite is.
You have physical problems when it comes to holding controllers. We say this because playing this game causes you to turn your wrist a lot, and some people have the tendency to grip their controllers pretty hard.
You don't like memorizing information like weapon qualities or which maps are which.
You prefer voice chatting through the game. However, you can still voice chat on the smartphone app, and of course on third-party programs.
You're easily intimidated by PvP multiplayer modes. But trust us, we thought that might be us too, and yet here we are now.
Really though, Splatoon 2 has a lot of game qualities that we didn't think we'd be into, and it turns out we are. Neither of us are really into fighting games, and neither of us are super competitive, but here we are over a year later, making this video.
And on top of the individual appeal, there are a few things you need to know about the logistics of Splatoon 2. Since the heart of Splatoon is the multiplayer feature, you do need the Nintendo Online service to enjoy the game at its fullest.
And if you don't, well, I suppose we aren't here to sell you it. But if you want access to Hulu and YouTube on your Switch by getting the online service, then getting Splatoon 2 might not hurt as well. There's an individual online service, which is $28 a year, but a lot of people like to opt for the family plan, which is $35 a year and can hold up to 8 separate Nintendo Switch accounts.
When it gets right down to it, Splatoon 2 is really a game for everyone of all ages and game preferences. We know we sound like a filthy commercial right now, but there's just so much to do in a game where you play as an anthropomorphic cephalopod. It's fun for kids, where you can shoot brightly colored ink and spam booyah. It's fun for teens, where you can slap people, learn how to strategize, and try to get better in between homework. And it's fun for adults, where you can shoot brightly colored ink and spam booyah.
Because booyahing is very crucial to the gameplay.
Yes, it is.
Thanks for watching. In our next episode, we'll cover the basics of Splatoon 2, so stick around.